All right. Thanks for watching this video. I'm joined today with a good friend of mine, Hussein Dawood. He is a published author, researcher, and PhD candidate in learning technologies. He has spent a long time, 20 years, I believe, working in the intersection of artificial intelligence, human cognition, and learning systems, which is exactly what I think the watchers of this video and the course that we've developed are going to want to hear more about. His work spans government, corporate, and academic environments where there are certainly high stakes and definitely consequences when it comes to technology decision. And it's a real effort that he's put into this. He served as an advisor to U.S. federal teams, including work connected to DoD. He has contributions that include cultural intelligence training, AI oversight models, and decision critical learning systems used in both the military and the civilian context. This work shapes how people learn, decide, and act under pressure. Professionally, his experience stretches from Fortune 500 to national security programs, global universities. Across all these settings, his focus remains consistent: how AI systems are designed, how they affect human judgment, how accountability is built into their scale. And today, we're going to talk about that because I'm really interested. He's the author of multiple internationally distributed books on AI ethics. But today I want to talk about that research and how it connects with the real world and his experience with field practice and helping organizations think clearly around risk, governance, and human responsibility in these AI-driven systems and ecosystems is what I want to learn about today. So at the center of your research, Hussein, is a simple idea that we've talked about before. You say that AI should not replace human rules, it should operate within them. Your current work is looking into frameworks that place human judgment, ethical boundaries, and cultural awareness at the core of AI use in education, defense, and entrepreneurial settings. So that perspective, I think, is what I'd love to get out of today's conversation. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah. Where,
Yes,
yeah,
I
where'd you
think
like to
it's
begin?
oh, that's let's begin where you ended.
Okay.
It's where how we view AI. Is it a tool or it's a system that we work with? That's really important.
Okay.
Uh, Most people view it as a tool, and that's where the problem begins. A tool that we use, and we need to really understand when should we use it, when should we trust it, when should we stop using it.
Mhm.
Or should we just take anything we get out of AI? And most people they take the first result, especially we're speaking about Gen AI or generative AI. I think the best technique is to refine your prompt and get better results and understand what the output is in fact. Um, and speak about educational training settings, that's where the problem elevate and uh, it can be cultural, it can be ethical, it could be uh, just whatever the domain we're trying to use it for. And let's speak about education, and I think that's what I focus on mostly. I'll give you a really good example. Students who are moved to Texas and they are studying in high school and they've been assessed about their comprehension and writing skills. And you ask them to write about something historical here. And we mentioned Alamo once. Uh, and if they are not from Texas and they are not culturally aware or historically aware about Texas and Alamo, they may not answer that the best way they can.
My wife Hussein is Mexican, of Mexican nationality, so I think her perspective might be a little different as well, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. And we have like I focused on a few areas here, Richardson and Plano and Collin County, which is majority of international students. They are from India, from the Middle East, from Egypt, from other countries of Africa, and they have absolutely no background what Texas history is. So when you ask them to write an essay about Alamo, are you assessing them about their understanding comprehension, or you assessing them about their cultural backgrounds or their cultural understanding or the historical understanding? And here where it comes, it's unfair. It's biased by itself. But if you ask students from Egypt about the pyramids, how they connect to that, or you ask students from the Middle East about Mesopotamia, which is 5 to 7,000 years history for them, they will be able to write 5 pages for you and they will be enjoying and you will get the best results. Well, if you ask them about Alamo, they will be, I really don't know what Alamo is. So what do you want me to write? Is it a human? Is it a site? Is it like they don't really understand what is that? So how they will be assessed, and that's a major problem for AI, and we can mitigate that. We can train AI to actually ask few questions to understand who the person is and how can we assess that person, whether comprehension, writing skills, or understanding and learning context. Yeah.
Now,
So,
I've got some experience that I'd like to share. I'm just thinking back in my early career, I actually was an advanced placement American history teacher, believe it or not. And I remember in that context, I had an experience as a teacher where I was grading papers by hand all night, by the way, all night,
yeah.
every night, I was grading papers.
Mhm.
And I remember distinctly thinking to myself, am I judging this document based on the grammatical errors, based on, and I was, and
Yeah.
that was the AP model. I was required to do that. But then in my mind, I was thinking that doesn't actually take into account the understanding of the student on the topic. So what I would ask you is, what are your thoughts on that? Is this the latest iteration of the same conversation, or is there something else that's bigger, more sinister, or just different about what we're talking about today? So again, even when we were young men, we had math teachers that were telling us we couldn't use a calculator, and they said you
Mhm.
have to show your work, et cetera. And now, how many people show their work? We all just use a Siri or Chat GPT to do
Yeah.
math questions all the time. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So I attended the director of the PhD program at UNT. He had a work session, a session that he was discussing that matter, and he was speaking about how AI is in denial phase. That was last year.
Hmm.
And he put really great examples when they first introduced, back days when they introduced Excel and SPSS for statistical analysis, people thought it's cheating. And just
Oh,
people thought it's just unethical that you use that while we did that based on tables and papers. And imagine today, no one works without Excel.
yeah,
And most people who does any research, they will use SPSS or R and R Studio. And that's part of our today's, I would say, essential skills we need to use in order to do any statistical analysis. AI is the same. It's at denial phase right now. And I just talked to a friend of mine who had his PhD in, I think, 2017, computer science. He did amazing, Dr. Yasser. And he said he thinks this era is uh, is very bad just because people are using AI to do their research. For instance, I use I used to use Google Scholar, and in order for you to find papers, it will take you 3 to 4 days to find few papers. You have to go through all of them and stuff like that. Right now, with Research Rabbit and other tools, you can just put keywords, filter all these papers. It will cut your 5 days of finding papers into 2 days, and then you can read through them and cut significantly the amount of time that you can spend on reading not necessary related papers just by have deeper keyword search within their abstract or within the body of that paper. So AI, in fact, is enhancing, but to what extent? You need
yeah,
to be careful. Are you just going to find and take whatever the results? If I tell you this, most people use ChatGPT, and
yeah,
ChatGPT tells you what you want to hear, not what the fact is or what you should be aware of. ChatGPT or OpenAI, they train their system to make you happy. So whatever you want to see, that's what you're gonna hear from it.
I I have to say, I just saw a wonderful meme. I should have brought it with us today for this conversation. I saw a wonderful meme yesterday, day before yesterday, and the person, I think it was on LinkedIn, and they said, just know today that the dumbest person you know has been told by ChatGPT at least 5 times, great job. That's a great observation. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that is so true because that's
yeah,
all you ever hear, right?
yeah, yeah. I just witnessed somebody was answering a question about their job orientation, and they used ChatGPT and they got two answers wrong. And when they challenged, because I know that person, very critical thinker, and challenged ChatGPT, they said, we already knew your answer. I think they were assessing the tool rather than just doing their job orientation. And she wrote, I already knew your answer is wrong, but I wanted to see what you say. Oh, he said, you know what? I think you're on spot. Your answer was correct. So it did not even admit I was wrong. It used to say I was wrong. Now, so if you say something, if you feed it, lead it to something, it will make you feel confident that you're doing the right thing. And that's a major flaw in open AI platform. And I think they do it intentionally. It's for consumer purposes.
Hmm.
So it's not for any ethical purposes. Some other platforms, they claim we are currently, in fact, checking 5 different AI tools at the college level, college of information, and reassessing it deeply to see their accuracy, consistency, ethical, and thinking process, like cognitive, like metacognitive process. Um, and so far, the results, I'm not sure. We already did two tests. We have another test, and we have it's total of 3 times 5 plus 2. I think we have 20 prompts at least for each one of us. And I think there are more than 10 scholars doing the same test through different tools. And it will be a major research. I think we will have like about 5 or 6 different research papers out of that, but it will take years. I don't think this is like few months research, and it's been led by the director of AI ethics. Sorry, the director of the PhD program at UNT. Um,
Now
and I'm
so you talked about outputs and validating outputs, and I could think of hundreds of examples. I remember the first one that I remember was there was an attorney in New York that wrote a legal brief using ChatGPT, and it had a bunch of cases that had never existed. I saw one same story in Utah, same story in California here just recently, like in June of last year. So those are outputs. But like in terms of the actual bias, I want to go back to what you were talking about earlier because
yeah.
as I mentioned, my wife is an English second language
Hmm.
speaker. My son is neurodivergent,
Hmm.
so I want to go back to that. That's something that I'm intrigued about that you brought up is there a bias against certain
Yeah.
populations?
Yeah, yeah. So let's take your wife's example. I'm the same. I'm similar. English is my second language, and I've been studying British English at the beginning for major part of my life. I was in British curriculum for about 27 years of my life, and transitioned to US curriculum, and I've been doing courses for universities in K-12 since then, since 2010. However, my English language improved significantly using tools such as Grammarly. And I just write, just like Grammarly. I can close my eyes and I'll tell you what Grammarly will tell you and suggest to you. And we actually stressed that test in one of our research through Turnitin. The University of
Oh yeah.
North
Yeah.
Texas used Turnitin. And University of Sharjah, the one I used to create their master's courses, they use Safe Assign. However, the one I tested was Turnitin. I wrote 2 paragraphs, my own, on my computer, and I submitted to Turnitin. It said, I think at that time, 69% was written by AI. And I
Your
wrote
work.
it 100, yeah.
Wow.
And I asked ChatGPT to replicate my text and create another 2 paragraphs and submit it to that Turnitin. They said 42% written by AI.
So you were
So
you were less likely to have been human
yes.
than ChatGPT. Wow.
Yes. So here the concern from research perspective false positive and false negative. And that's really important when conducting any research. And it's not, let's set the research aside. Now, for me as a student, that could jeopardize my career or my academic life if I
Yeah.
get flagged, if the university policy is saying cheating is strictly prohibited, zero tolerance, you're expelled from the program. And how does that affect me if your tool wasn't accurate? And how does that actually affect other students? How many students been flagged as using AI? I had submitted one paper and one flagged for plagiarism. And when we looked at everything, it was citations. And citations, the reference page, it's similar for every paper because there is only one way to reference your reference as IPA 7. There's no way you can write it in a different way. It's the name of the authors, the name of the title of that paper, and then the venue, and then the link. Okay. So there is no other way to do it. And it was flagged as plagiarism, and it was like, this is the reference page. Then the professors, they would take it case by case, and that's additional work the professor should never go to do if it's obvious it's not real. So AI tools, or tools who claims to use AI, have been trained in the wrong way. It's never been trained about norms, traditions, cultural, cognitive processes, stuff that could be whitelisted, like reference pages and stuff like that. You should never really check for plagiarism just because it is what it is. Reference pages, it's a reference page. Just just like a glossary. Glossary, you should never check it because glossary will be the same definitions of the terms depend on the domain. So I think again, at the beginning, I said I use it as a tool or as a system you need to work with, and that's
Now, here's my question to follow up to that. Do you feel like that is a could that be easily explained as a flaw in the design and the programming where we just need to better understand, like just for the sake of argument, there are models like ChatGPT, Perplexity, et cetera, and then there are proprietary models that we're not familiar with as customers that are things like the Turnitin, for example, or maybe some new addition to an application that schools already purchase, and they're just like maybe a grading coach or a language coach, something like that. My question is, do you feel like that's a design flaw in 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 the sense that if there was an application that wasn't working the way we expected to, we should just open a ticket and report the bug and they can fix it? Or do you think it's reflective of a larger problem that's endemic to the industry where we're just moving too fast without checks, without gatekeeping, without assurances that this is safe and functional?
I think it goes both ways. Let's say for the design flaw, if you claim that your tool or your system is smart and you claim it uses AI, then AI should flag these as, hey, this is not right. That I have marked this as plagiarism, but it's not right. If we are talking about something claim that they have uh, human cognitive like processing, then here it should be at least, especially you process information way faster than human processing information because you can
Right.
multi-process information versus human can process up to four, but they can focus on one, right? But that should be very easy catch for an AI tool. But I think it's a design flaw that
Mhm.
they have limited that, whether for financial reasons or whether for uh, resource reasons or whatever could be the reason behind it, maybe heating purposes or stuff like that. Um, but on the other hand, it is are we focusing on students only when we talk about these topics, grading, assessing? How about training educators?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You need to think about all the way. Professional development. Hey, this is the AI system. Now, how can you use it to its full potential, and also how you mitigate its risks? There's nothing comes without risks, and their risks are significant here, especially when it comes to education and students.
Well, I mean, there's such a huge conversation to be had there. If you want to get into that kind of context,
Yep.
like huge conversation to be had around how do we like in my defense, if I were an educator today, I would be kind of scratching my head around, okay, what do I need to teach kids about like how do I take this information that Hussein's telling us today? How do I apply that? What we don't even know what the skills are. What's your opinion on that? What are the skills that define a functional, productive, safe, private, whatever words you want to use, citizen in the future in this, age of AI we're talking about here?
Mhm. So this can get even broader than just education. Okay. So any work we are doing today, part of it, it's already been done by AI, whether it's skill-based, administrative, as a professional or personal assistant, and also physical or logistics. And good example, Amazon using robots in their warehouse. I was in a supermarket overseas from France. I think I forget the name of it. They use robot to stock and restock shelves, and the
Huh.
robot actually talks to you and in a really good way. That was in Dubai. And so the robot just walk by you, looks like a human with wheels, and then they will tell you, "I'm stuck and I'm sorry to bother you," and they will be looking at the shelf, scanning it in really fast way, and they will stock, restock, go to the back rooms and grab whatever missing.
Huh.
And imagine how accurate, how fast it is versus a human. They don't get tired. They just need charged, and they can switch them between different robots. It's way more efficient in time, in efficiency, in accuracy, and because using cameras versus using two eyes, especially the focus of that human and other stuff. That's when it comes to logistics and physical work. How about how many of us use automations in their emails and stuff like I get summarized emails. I just linked all of my emails, professional and personal, linked like 6 emails to one AI tool, and it will summarize according to priorities, and it will tell me, hey, this is what you need to focus on. This is what you can drop just because it's not going to be your time is not enough for that. How about responding to emails? How about booking meetings, canceling meetings, and other stuff? All these skills is replaced by AI, and it's replaceable. So
Mhm.
here is the question: are we just going to cry about it as workforce? Or are we going to set them, or at least set what we have right now, or future generations who are in schools, to train them to work with AI as a system? We
Mhm.
can create new job opportunities versus losing some job opportunities. It's just how are we going to take that? There are things that we can teach. It just comes from simple thinking about it. Prompt engineering, automation engineering, robotic engineering, uh, maintenance. If you don't have skills in computer science, how about maintaining these tools, robots and stuff like that? Maintenance. You work in maintenance in at HVAC or whatever your field is. You can learn how to maintain these robots, and they are not far from this. I saw an ad yesterday. A company, I forgot the name of it. It's like a fly or something that they claim they will be delivering for Walmart with drones.
Okay.
From your local Walmart, drone will drop it at your front or backyard, and you get it, and that's it. How does that change online filling process? Because I know a couple of friends of mine, they work for Walmart for online order filling. And they used to do it in store, running through the shelves and getting it. Then later on, they created a specific area for them where they have like a back room where they can grab things rather than grabbing it from the shelves. They become more efficient. Why need to restock the stuff they grab? And now, how about people working with drones? They need to be outside because drones, they are not going to be inside. They'll be charging outside, especially using solar system and other stuff. So it is changing of the dynamics of these jobs. So we need to reskill and upskill our current workforce. That's really important rather than, okay, we're just going to rely on robots and we lose the majority of our workforce. Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, I guess, do you have any thoughts on that specifically? Because I, I'll tell you just very briefly, in my role, in my day to day, I am the person who would hire for your level 3 automation engineers, your level 2 security engineers, your level 1 systems administrator. I would hire those people. And what I don't want to do as an employer, I don't want to ever say that I'm valuing the AI and the AI can replace people's jobs. What I would prefer to do is find ways that I can enhance and enrich a human experience, a human role, like you said with your AI on your email. That's a waste of your time. I would love to have more conversation with
Yeah.
people like you than checking email. So how
Yeah.
do I create those enablements? Now, that's just me. That's just me personally. But how do we get there? How do we prepare young people who are maybe looking to exit their K-12, schooling career and go into the workforce? How do we prepare them? Do you have any advice?
So first thing, we need to change our mindset. We are not competing with AI. We're actually working with it.
Yes.
So when you change their mindset, then they have different perspective now. I'm willing to learn. It's
Mhm.
all about learning a new skill or upgrading your skill, the current skill. But if you think about AI, either it's a tool I use to generate text, very basic thing, then you're not really getting anything out of it except writing your email, writing your text message and stuff like that, which is actually it will hinder your cognitive process and critical thinking process. And
I got to tell you, I agree with that 100%. Please
yeah,
continue, but I just have to tell you, I feel like I'm getting dumber. I really do. I feel
it,
like I used to write things all the time, Hussein. I would just write, and it was like, it would just come. It would just come to me, and I would create
yeah,
2 or 3 pages of documentation. Now I feel like, oh, where do I start? I feel like I have to use a tool for a jump start. I'm just being very honest,
yeah.
very transparent. It worries me.
Yeah, it become dependent just because it's so easy to use it, and that's what they want you to do. And I can give you really good examples. I used to love LinkedIn, and I found it long time ago. It's very professional. You connect with people like-minded, and you
Mhm.
grow together. I use constructivism. I construct my knowledge with you. We build on each other. We elevate each other. And now I guarantee you can scroll LinkedIn. Take 2 or 3 minutes, scroll through the main page. Everything has been written there using AI. So where is your touch?
Yeah.
Okay, where is your actual soul and mindset of writing your own words? It could be close to you, but it's not you. And I'll give you another example. I wrote a book that was very dear to me about entrepreneurship. Then AI was just new at the beginning. Then I said, you know what? Let me run it by AI and see what I can enhance. And at the beginning, I used to accept the suggestions, mostly
Mhm.
grammars or restyling my text, moving text around. But after I finished and I submitted to the publisher, I noticed there are areas I actually wanted to pause and start another idea. Put in period that I am here, there is a contrast, or there is another idea that I need to start. However, AI replaced that period with a comma. And you can imagine how that changed the context of that uh, part of the book. And I decided going forward after that book, I will never run my text through AI, even if it's going to make it look way fancier. I would rather just keep my tone as second language speaker. And however, my fourth book, I submitted it without using AI tools. I used minor Grammarly. However, I didn't accept most of it. I'd say ignore, dismiss. I returned with only one revision. And you're talking about academic publisher.
Yeah.
Academic publisher, it will take you 2 years to publish with them. One revision, and they say this is optional. There is one title in chapter four, I think second section. The title is kind of uh, too what they said. It's too academic, so you can just make it less academic and make it easier for audience, for diverse audience, especially this gets sold internationally in every continental. So I think I changed one word from that title, and it was just one revision from academic publisher from the UK, which is the UK publishers are extremely strict. So here is you need to understand how does this affect what you want to do or what you want to say. And that's where I put the example of LinkedIn and also the example of you becoming very dependent. You can't even write a text message or an email without going back to AI, trying to ask him, how should I start? Why don't you just start the way that people already knew you?
Yeah.
People know your tone. I have written research papers with other students, and the moment their major professor reads it, they say, this is Hussein. Hussein wrote this paper because they know my tone. They know how I start my sentence. And it's just my identity.
Mhm.
Yep.
I gotta say, I feel like I should do you know what we need? We need like an expose where people just come and admit that this happened because I feel like what I just said, I've got so many more examples. I would love to just get it off my chest and say, I am afraid because this happens to me, or I'm ashamed because I did this, or I used AI in this way. I feel like maybe we don't talk about that as much as we should
Yeah.
too. Do you feel like that's appropriate? And my mind immediately goes to a classroom setting where I would love to see an educator be a little bit more vulnerable as well to use it as a kind of a teachable moment, like an experience to demonstrate that vulnerability as they struggle with something ethically as part of the course, as part of the instruction for the learner. What do you think about that?
So I'll give you a really good example. I just submitted an article. One of the employers I work with, they asked me to submit an article for educational journal, online journal. And that I used one example in a classroom. A student's been asked to write an essay, and they used AI, and they submitted a perfect essay. The teacher was, wow, this is a great essay. But she paused for a second, the teacher, and said, but my students, they don't have that skill level to write this kind of essay. Here is my concern here. So the students was able to use AI perfectly to create a perfect essay. Now, are you focusing on the ethical part of the student not disclosing AI? Are you focusing on the part that the student knows how to work with AI and generate perfect content? Are we, and you were happy at the beginning. So the question is, what are you trying to teach? Are you trying to teach ethics? Are you trying to teach working with AI? Are you trying to block and ignore AI, period? So we need to identify what work environment, ethics, and policies and stuff we need to work. However, if you ask me, I think we should embrace that skill of people knows how to use AI and create a guideline, maybe a disclosure, what AI actually did with you. Okay. And here's the situation. Did you just get that AI text and submit it, or did you work with it and learn from it?
Mhm.
And if it's a learning process, then we should embrace it because that will enhance their learning and writing skills. But if you just want to say, no, no one can use AI, it depends on your mindset, then you're really wasting a very big skill and a future generation that can actually work with AI rather than just competing with AI. We can't compete with AI. We have to work with it.
Discernment, critical thinking, slowing down and really considering your
Yep.
actions is what I'm hearing. Do you have any other closing thoughts? It's been great talking to you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the
I
listeners?
yeah, I asked one question today on LinkedIn. Let me find it. Uh, Where is that part? Just a second. I wrote quote today. Okay, I said if AI can do part of your job today, what part should a human focus on next? So when it comes to your job, your AI can do part of your job. So what should you focus on next? I think we already identified it. Upskilling and reskilling.
Mhm.
Next generations. Work with AI. That's
Mhm.
all. You can't ignore AI in education. You can't ignore AI in workforce. You can't ignore AI in any dimensions of your life. How can we actually? And if you see my tagline, I said smart machines, human rules. So we have machines, but we need to create a rule and a framework that's all of my research and all of my books is focusing on creating a framework and rules for these machines to do what we want them to do. We can't just sit aside and let them continue growing while we are not. Yeah.
So this has been a great conversation, Hussein. I really appreciate it. If folks are interested in maybe looking at your older books or maybe your latest book, I know you had a new book in the last 2 months, I believe, right? Where can they find that? What's it called?
It's called Ethics in Practice, AI Insight, Ethical Audit and Transformative Power for Entrepreneurship. And that's available at Walmart, Targets, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, uh, almost every library, even Oxford Library. I was honored to have it in Oxford Library, the oldest library. It's, I think, 1700 or 1800.
Wow.
library. Yes, it is. I was so honored to have it in their bookshelves and indexed there.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I look forward to reading it myself. Thank you so much for your time. Really can't thank you enough. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. As you know, our mission at Make It Secure is to empower confident, secure, and ethical use of technology. If you want to see more secure conversations like the one you just watched, be sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to see the next conversation.